Hello and welcome back to Spooky Island, my beautiful movie peeps. It has been a while. I need to talk some movie news and get over this sickness. So let's just get into it. Some of the things we'll be looking into here today, guys, is we got a short little clip teasing a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle short coming to theaters. We got some people freaking out over the new Predator movie being revealed to be PG-13. Is this really a bad thing? And a big old interview Jason Blum did, kind of revealing some of the future things Blumhouse is looking to do. Really, that along with so much more. So you guys know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, comment down below, timestamps in the description. I want to thank y'all so much for all the well wishes. It's been a miserable week. All food has lost its taste since I've been sick, but I'm honestly just more sick of being sick, and I just want to get back to making stuff for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into some movie news, fool. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about. But starting off with the first big thing I really wanted to get into is this new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem holiday special. Over the week, we were starting to get our first looks and reveal of this special that is titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey. It's going to be a little short that's going to premiere in front of the upcoming SpongeBob movie releasing later this year, December 19th. And today we actually got a 1-minute preview of it, and man, looking at this 1-minute preview, it has made me miss this version of the Turtles. It looks like the basic premise of this short is going to be us following the Turtles after the events of the first movie. They're now living amongst us in New York around the Christmas season where they're just trying to do some holiday shopping until they come across this ad promoting toys. This really ends up upsetting the Turtles as they feel they should be earning some of the money from these toys, deciding to head off to New Jersey to figure out who is behind all this. And there's been some interesting discourse involved with just this 1-minute clip. Okay, so first off, I want to go into the things I really liked about it. Is once again, I love just the animation style of Mutant Mayhem. More specifically, the way it looks in this winter holiday setting. It gives such a cozy vibe. Almost makes me wish the upcoming Ninja Turtles sequel that we're still going to get in the year 2027 was all holiday Christmas themed, but whatever. With every new iteration of the Turtles, it's also just interesting to see the different things they do, and now having the Turtles just live amongst us like they're regular people is so different, but it is kind of cool just to see them be regular teenagers and the different outfits that match their personality, specifically Leonardo, because bro, he's got that fit on. But funny enough, I think the most controversial or talked about thing with this 1-minute clip while fans are waiting to watch the full thing later this year is everything involved with Donatello's character. So for one, people are really noticing that the voice actor has kind of hit puberty a little bit and his voice is much deeper than it was before.
You're fine, chill. He's gonna die.
I'll just ask ChatGPT. What does a rat dad want?
I know that's something people complained about a lot with the first movie. They really didn't like the voice choice for Donnie. I was fine with it, and honestly, now it just sounds a little bit more in line. But the biggest complaint and talked about thing involved with this short is the moment Donnie decides to use ChatGPT. He busted out whenever they're trying to figure out what to buy Splinter for Christmas, and ChatGPT prompts them something. Now, people have gotten really upset about this and are saying things like, Donnie would never use AI. He would be so against it. He wouldn't be for it. Man, this is a real disappointment that they have Donnie using AI. Well, then there's other people going, yeah, well, if you look at modern teenagers today, they're all using AI. They all think it's cool. And Donnie being a tech bro, he'd probably be the first to want to engage with ChatGPT and AI. And honestly, I didn't know how to feel because I see both sides of it, where I do feel morally I would hope Donnie isn't for AI, but then I'm like, he would at least be curious or try to figure out in a bit. Like, it would just be in his nature as the tech bro. But really, what kind of seemed like a throwaway thing that people are complaining about, this entire short might actually be a commentary on AI. People have noticed that this toy company that's responsible for making these imitations of the Turtles is named Authentic Imitations, where their logo even abbreviates to AI. You also have the beginning of the clip where Mikey is holding a handmade mug he made for Splinter that is pretty ugly, but at least it's handmade and comes from the heart. This thing people are complaining about, it looks like this short might actually be a commentary on AI, and we could see Donnie learn maybe the more foul uses for it. And you know what? I'd be down for that, because it would also be a lesson for the kids who enjoy this version of the Turtles and engage with AI on a daily basis. You still also have to remember, Seth Rogen is the one behind the Ninja Turtles, and in his Apple TV show, The Studio, he had a whole episode episode about how AI is bad and should be booed. So we'll see how it goes, but it's just been interesting to see the things that come up from this 1-minute clip of the Turtles and all the different talking points you can get from it. What's your stance on all of it? Something else that happened earlier in the week, right as I was getting sick, is we got an update for the new Final Destination movie. It got reported by the Hollywood Reporter here that the new Final Destination movie finds its director in Michael Blanchard. It appears as the directors of the previous movie are not going to be returning for this next film, which honestly kind of surprised me because you would think since that became the biggest Final Destination movie in the franchise, they'd want to keep them along, but they didn't seem interested to want to do more. They are still going to keep the same writers from the last movie, so if you liked at least some of the story direction, it looks like we can expect something semi-similar. I'm not too familiar with this director's work. He only has one project. It does look to be well received, but I will say I'm perfectly fine with them swapping out directors. I feel like that keeps things fresh within the Final Destination world, and even though they're keeping the same writers, they at least had interesting ideas for the universe with this whole, bloodline storyline that they came with for the last film. I wonder what new and different thing they'll do for this installment. It's just so cool to see, hey, we're getting more Final Destination movies and we're not gonna have to wait another decade for more. How are you guys feeling about them switching directors for the next Final Destination film? Next up here, I wanted to talk about this update with Predator's Badlands. Just this week we got the final trailer that really makes the movie look so awesome and fun. I am so excited for Predator Badlands. But one update alongside this final trailer is that the movie will be PG-13, making it one of the first main Predator movies that isn't rated R. All previous Predator movies have been rated R. Even the animated movie that recently came out with Hulu was rated R. And the only other time that Predator was PG-13 was when he was in a team-up movie with a xenomorph in Alien vs. Predator. And again, people kind of lost their minds and just saw the headlines of first Predator movie to not be rated R, and really, it's been a lot of that. It feels like people are always wanting to hate on Predator. Even if you go back to Prey, man, I remember the woke and cringy videos people were making, praying for the downfall of Prey, no pun intended. And then all those people had to backtrack when the movie came out, and it was actually pretty good. Same thing happened whenever we got the first trailer for Predator Badlands, and people got one look of the Predator in this film, and they're like, oh, is that a chick Predator? I don't want to see no boobs on a Predator. It's always just somebody waiting to be angry at Predator. I guess you should be angry at Predators. But really, when looking into why this ended up becoming PG-13, I feel like it makes sense, and it's people kind of getting upset over nothing. They explain here that we don't have any humans in the movie, so we don't have any human red blood. Producer Rosenblanc continued, so we're hoping that's gonna play to our advantage. We're going to go as hard as we possibly can within those constraints, and we think we'll be able to do something pretty awesomely gruesome stuff, but in colors other than red. And that's really essentially how this movie is able to be PG-13. There are no human characters. The Predator is the main character, and he's going to be paired alongside an android, and they're going to be going after a bunch of alien creatures on this deadly planet, all with blood that isn't colored red, which usually leads to the R rating. So there's still going to be plenty of violence, plenty of action, plenty of bloodshed or things dying on screen. It's just not going to be human characters, and when it's not human characters, the people who determine the ratings are much kinder and just gave it a PG-13. So honestly, to me, I don't see the issue. If anything, it's a nice loophole that the franchise is able to take advantage of, and it opens the door for more money potential, and more money potential means higher profits. Higher profits means to more sequels. So I don't know. I don't mind the PG-13 rating at all, but how did you guys feel about those headlines? Jumping on to something else I found disappointing, but honestly super hilarious, is this almost end to the Fast and Furious franchise. So as you guys know, we had Fast and Furious X that was supposed to be the start of the ending for the series. It was always intended to be a two-part event, and Fast X did end on some big cliffhangers. Dominic Toretto and his son's life were left uncertain. Gal Gadot was revealed to be alive and out there, and a post-credit scene involving Hobbs, Dwayne Johnson's character, who promised he would never return to Fast and Furious, returning for Fast and Furious. It was like the first time I was really like, dude, I need to see where this all ends. and now that could just be the ending of the series. A lot of the reason for that is Universal was just not happy with the returns with Fast X. It was an extremely expensive movie costing over $340 million and even then barely turning a profit. And this is where Universal does not want to spend the same amount of money taking $140 million off that budget and making the final movie for $200 million. This is already a problem because the current script that they have for Fast and Furious 11 means that the movie would cost $250 million. So there's already $50 million that they need to remove from that story. Vin Diesel has already kind of secretly been preparing fans for this because he keeps saying, you know, I told Universal we gotta go back to the streets, to the racing. When I think that's just his way of saying this movie's gonna be lower stakes, but at least we'll get to wrap up the story. But even then, they're not seeming to come to agreement with the budget. I think when all's said and done, it'll still end up happening. But man, I think they're going to have to change that story and rework some stuff. They're even going to have to recast that kid at the end of Fast X because he's going to be a fully grown adult by the time they actually get to making this movie. The franchise has definitely run its course, but what a hilarious spot to possibly end everything off. I don't even know if I'm that excited for this finale because, you know, Vin Diesel was heavily teasing they are bringing back Paul Walker for this final film. I don't know how you do that tastefully, and also how do you end one of the biggest action franchises with everything you've done so far, but just go back to street racing, you know? It's a little funny to think about, and honestly, I kind of just hope the cliffhanger ending of Fast X is the end, because what a funny way for all that to end. Do you guys think we'll eventually get the finale in Fast and Furious, and are you okay with the big finale movie being kind of the lowest stakes the franchise has been in for a while, just so we could at least wrap up the story? This then brings me into this interview that Jason Blum recently did with Variety, where he kind of gave us some insight into things going on with Blumhouse. You know, it being the spooky season, I like to do a lot more spooky news, and Blumhouse is still one of those studios that is constantly trying to produce horror movies for us. One of the first interesting things that caught my eye during this was Jason Blum talking about his disappointment to the fact he lost out on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre rights. Many of you guys maybe have been seeing the news that has been up for grabs and many different studios were bidding for those rights. Jason Blum here said exactly, "We were in the mix, that deal isn't closed, but we probably won't get it," Blum says, looking defeated for a moment. A24, the cool kids indie company, won the Texas Chainsaw Massacre rights with a creative team led by weapons producer Roy Lee and Glenn Powell. Mainly, Blumhouse is bummed he won't get a chance to revitalize a franchise that had run out of gas. "I like taking an IP that people are cynical about and turning expectations on their heads," he says. I'm not that bummed that Blumhouse didn't get Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it's honestly kind of cooler. A24 is currently the one that looks like they're officially going to close the deal. I think what A24 would do with Texas Chainsaw Massacre might be slightly more interesting than what Blumhouse would do. But as you'll see later on in this article, he really talks about how much he is just always going after these big horror icons, wanting Blumhouse to be able to make movies of them. He gives us a small update with the Saw franchise that Blumhouse is now a co-owner of, and they're gonna soon start making movies. He said exactly, "It's really hard to make 10 movies in a franchise. I don't take that away from the original series producers, and I'm grateful to them for allowing us to continue. My creative outlook is what I always preach. Get the people who made the magic in the first place more involved. James Wan, the original director, will be hugely involved, and that's how we're going to reinvent it." I'm still really curious about what their idea is for the next Saw movie, how much of it is going to be a full-on reboot, or how much of it will be a continuation of the world without relying too much on the lore that it's already built. He does talk a little bit about Halloween, where he says, "We don't own the rights to Halloween anymore. I had a 3-picture deal, but I would do another Halloween movie." As far as we know right now, Miramax are the ones who currently have the new Halloween rights, but they haven't really done anything so far. Supposedly a TV show is in the works and a whole cinematic universe with movies, but we have yet to really get much updates on those. But if those rights ever go up again, hey, expect Blumhouse maybe to be open to doing more stuff with them. He does discuss a little bit about Megan. In the article, they talked a little bit about how Jason Blum was very open about the failures of Megan 2.0 and the direction that they took the franchise didn't really work out, making it sound like maybe it's dead and they're not going to do more. think again, because he was asked, what about Megan? Is she done? And he responded with, Megan will ride again. I'll find a way. So for my big Megan fans out there, if you were still hoping to see more movies with her, Jason Blum is in love enough with that character that he does want another Megan movie done. But this time, what he'll do with that, who knows? I doubt that they'll stick with the comedic, action-packed route that they've gone with, since they see that now as a failure. For sure seems like they'll probably backpedal and throw her right back into the horror route, and I'd be down to see that. But the most exciting thing to me that he talked about was Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, where he was asked, what is your white whale in the genre? The movie you'd kill to make. He said exactly, Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger. Those are my two white whales. Follow-up question was asked, are they both locked up somewhere else? And he said, we're always haggling. I make it run at them every day. I will never give up that quest, and if they make one without me, I'll chase the next movie. Look, I totally get it. Blumhouse gets a lot of flack, and they have made a ton of movies that I really don't like. But dude, there is a part of me that goes, Jason Blum is the only one out there knocking on their door going, hey, Friday the 13th, movie? Nightmare on Elm Street, movie? It feels like nobody else is doing that, and it does make me happy as a horror fan that Jason Blum says he literally is haggling every day trying to get those franchises. We know with Friday the 13th that looks more possible and likely now, and I would not be surprised if within the next couple years we hear Blumhouse got the rights to Friday the 13th to make a couple of movies the same way they did with Michael Myers in the Halloween franchise, because the Jason universe people have said they want to make a movie, they're just still trying to get things in order behind the scenes. But it's really the Nightmare on Elm Street part, man. I still don't get what's taking so long with that and why that's an issue. I want to see a new Freddy Krueger movie, and that's why, like, I get it. Blumhouse maybe might not make the best, but I'd rather see some attempt at a new movie than no movie at all. So Mr. Blum, please keep knocking on those doors, and hopefully one day it just opens. So yeah, those are just some updates involved with Blumhouse I found fascinating about where things are headed with the company. What do you guys make of it? Anyways, guys, that is all the news we currently have going on right now. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Be careful.